Otenko has a refrain, Iban chikle, chikle, chikle. That is supposed to be an onomatopic response, simulating the cutting of the palm branch with a dagger that produces to dig a hole from which the palm wine will flow. So it is onomatopic. You want chikle, chikle, chin, chin, chin. But you can see that the three upper parts, as it were, follow parallel harmony. Iban chikle, chin, chin, chin. Iban chikle, chin, chin. Iban chikle, chin, chin, chin. But the bass has sort of the call before the response. Iban chikle, chikle, chikle. Iban chikle, chin, chin. Iban chikle, chikle, chikle. Iban chikle, chin, chin, chin. Iban chikle, chikle, chikle. Because that is more or less a group of nonsense syllables. It's onomatopic. So the tonal demands or determinants about the language does not apply here. You can say Iban chikle, chin, 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 because it doesn't have any specific meaning. It's just a sound being replicated. So now that is, over that you have then a melody which follows the determinants again. Oh, tenkwo, butemanyankwo, ifenkwo batalo, kumwibemwa. You still have to think of the range of the voice, the quality of the tone. These are determined by the linguistic demands. That a tone will rise does not mean it will rise by the same interval in all the parts. But it must have a rise that signifies the meaning of the word. So, Iban chikle chin chin chin, Iban chikle chin chin chin, Iban chikle chin chin chin. Well, whether it is exactly a minor third or a major third or a fourth, it doesn't matter, but it just follows that color, that curve, that sequence. The melodies, otherwise you're not a composer. The melody has to have a tune that is interesting, to say the least, that is captivating, that people would like to hear within that. But even more important in our composition, in this book, there's another chapter saying problems and prospects of composing contemporary choral music in African languages, because these problems arise based on some of these linguistic determinants we're talking about. So you've got to be able to be a poet and a musician and a linguist all rolled in one, to be able to get a good combination of all the requirements without sacrificing one for the other. It doesn't mean you have to be a slave to them. You can take liberties, but those liberties will be justifiable based on linguistic and musicological and theoretical knowledge of African music, as well as music from other parts of the world. It is, my people suffer for lack of knowledge because we don't have adequate training in the theory of music as a universal phenomenon, it's a universal art, the theory of it, whether it be Wang Fu in Chinese or Schopenhauer or Verban or Ojukwu. You've got to see what Ojukwu is doing to his harmony. See what Moba does in his own. See what Ekwueme does, and so on. You've got to be able to analyze this. See what Ayobankole does. See what Shwande does. So these are people who know what they're doing, not any dabbler who just believes he can make a tune and put notes together. I don't want to go into the detail of critically analyzing some of the composers you've named, because I have a bad name for not for being said to be too critical. So to the point that people believe I believe that I'm the only one who knows about music. It is not so. But I don't accept mediocrity and ignorance, and those who know not and know not that they know not. Empty barrels that make the greatest noise. It upsets me. And make arguments about things you know nothing about. So I just shut up, and I'm not very popular when it comes to that. So I forget what I was talking about now. So what was the question on again?
Well, I think you answered it. Was just about Otepo and how you could use
okay, I was going to
onomatopoeia and tones at the same time in different voices.
Of course, yes. And then one thing people do not do as well as they should, let me put it that way, is that the fact that our languages, our local tunes, our traditional music is usually in one key, so to say. Even though, as I've demonstrated, that key can vary because of lack of tonal structure. The tonality can change, so the keys may change with the tonality, but there's very little modulation, very little change of key in traditional choral music. But something like Otenko, for instance, you find when it goes from G major to G minor, and there's a definite change of key, and then comes back to G major without mortgaging the language. One checkle chin 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 chin. One checkle chin 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 chin. Then come on, God on it. Cordolona 4. It comes from G major to B flat major, which is really becomes from G minor, as it were, to G, go from G minor to say from G major to G minor. So such modulation without sacrificing the words. Come on, God on it. Cordolona 4. It is still the same language. Then following the same tonal structure, and using the texture that the male voices now become dominant. Instead of the basses having the answer, the call, and the others respond, the bass and tenors now join in unison, giving what vocal orchestration. The voice now becomes an orchestra, and the other parts from a counterpoint above it, as an invertible counterpoint, as it were. But we're not going to go into that. But it is that concept of knowing what you are doing and why you are doing this emphasizes now that we want to drink. But you say it's a jolly song, let us drink what we Cordolona 4. Then we come back to the Iban Chikla and Chikla, and end Iban Chikla chin 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 Iban Chikla chin chin chin. Have a variety, have different things, have the music structured with variations. Variation is the main thing. Variation of tone, variation of pitch, variation of rhythm, variation of harmony and keys. These concepts are the ones that we brought together, determined by the language. Determined by language without losing the quality of the music, because you must do that determination within the concept of universal music. this is music. I know what's African about it. I'm bringing it together to a workable, generally accepted format, which everybody will enjoy, African or non-African. I think that's important to lay emphasis on.